Hey, I'm Carlos Garcia, and today's video is a little bit different than my usual videos. So instead of doing a blind of my top 4 from my Whisky Cigar Clubs, which I did 2 in October, I'm going to review quickly all 24 from those 2 events, because we did 12 and 12. Now, some of these I've already reviewed on the channel. Also, what I would like is I'm going to do 24. Obviously, the ones I reviewed on the channel, don't put those into blinds. But if you want to see blinds of, 4 of these 24, put it in the comments. You guys vote on each other to see which one gets the most votes, and I'll do a video on it. I am doing a blind for the people. So let's get right into the first October Whisky Cigar Club, and that started off with Knob Creek 21. So how I'm going to run this is I'm going to do the 4 that came out at the same time. So when I run my Whisky Cigar Club, everyone drinks it blind except for me. I keep it right over here. I put a little wall up so that no one can see what I'm pouring. I pour every single one into beakers. I say beakers, but they're actually measuring cups. But so these things. So I pour them into here, I pass them around, and everyone basically pours out half an ounce. And then everyone has one of these tasting note sheets. They put their tasting notes and their scores. And I really care about those scores because that's how I get the averages for everything. And usually we'll have a couple bottles on the table beforehand while people are still showing up and stuff like that to kind of just get warmed up. And they're usually low proof stuff. Obviously this day we started at 100 proof. So and I'm pretty sure the last one was probably hazmat or something stupid. So yeah, hazmat, I'm looking at it. So, the proofs get quick, you're drinking 12 over a couple of hours. So that's how we usually run it. So we do 3 sets of 4. So the first set for that day was the Knob Creek 21, which I reviewed on the channel twice already. So definitely go check out those videos if you haven't. I will say that I scored it that day a 3.85, and overall group came in 9th place out of 12 with a score of 3.16. Okay, so now this Yellowstone bourbon whiskey, 8-year, 110 proof. I picked this up at Bourbon on the Banks, and this is part of the Recollection series, honoring the classic. So if you haven't seen this one, I haven't seen it besides at Bourbon on the Banks, and that's why I got it. Definitely a different bottle. And this I got on the nose, light fruit, perfumey. On the palate, crafty, red fruit, woody. And on the finish, nutty. So again, these aren't in-depth reviews like I usually try to do on the channel. This is more of like I'm hanging out with my friends, jotting down a couple notes and getting scores. And I scored this a 3.25. Overall, it scored under that with a 2.98 and came in 10th place for the group. Okay, the next bottle is Coal-Pick Distillery Single Barrel. Now this is the Bourbon on the Banks Barrel Select. I even had the master distiller sign it. Big bearded guy, really fun to watch talking to that guy. But if you haven't heard of this brand, small distillery, they didn't have that many bottles, but pretty unique thing. Crafty green apples on nose. Again on the palate, saying crafty green apples. Finish crafty black tea. Dirty socks. So didn't do so well in the blind. I scored 2.5, and it came in last place overall with a 2.92. So higher than I scored it, but it came in last place in 12th. Our first place now, maybe again, when you're doing blinds and stuff are back to back, people went off of what they had as their last place to now it's the first place. So, does that impact it? Probably. But this is the Blue Note Straight Rye Whiskey Finished in Honey Barrels 2025 release. And this is pretty good. So this is strawberry yogurt on the nose, oak, fresh fruit, black tea. On the palate, strawberry yogurt again. Sweet raisin. I remember that. I remember getting the strawberry yogurt and I'm like, man, that is so unique. And on the finish, sweet and dark fruit. I scored this a 3.75. The group scored this a 3.89, which is higher. And it came in first place overall. So let's get into the second lineup. Okay, so we went into the second grouping. And so we have the Jack Daniel's Sweet Mash, which I haven't reviewed on the channel yet, but this is pretty good. I remember when I fresh cracked this with my wife. My wife loved this bottle. When we were doing our Whisky Cigar Club the next day or a couple days later, she was drinking this in the living room, watching our Hallmark channel. So I got strawberry, vanilla, and sweet on the nose. On the palate, red fruit. I underlined that multiple times, so it must be very red fruit forward. Oak, black marker, sweet. On the finish, nutty, fireworks. Scored 3.75. The group didn't like it as much. Scored 3.21 and it came in 7th place. We have the new 13 Colony Cask Strength 2025 release, Rye, and this was dark fruit spice oak on the nose, crafty rye green on the palate, minty rye okay on the finish. And I scored this a 3. The group scored a 2.97, so close. And this came in 11th place, so second to last. Now another pickup from Bourbon on the Banks. This is 10-day bourbon, Surgeon's Cut. This distillery is owned by 3 doctors. They started making bourbon and the whole 10-day prescriptions back in the day to get your whiskey during Prohibition. So they're going into that whole thing. And this is 8-year-old. This is red fruit, red Jolly Rancher, peanuts on the nose, nutty, oaky, red fruit on the palate, red fruit, nutty, sweet on the finish. And I scored that a 3.5. The group kind of agreed with me, 3.43. And they came in 5th place. So we have this SGD Conviction, Cask Strength Founders Reserve, straight bourbon whiskey, sour mash, single barrel, uncut, unfiltered. All the words. This was chocolate ice cream on the nose, crafty, palate, crafty, red fruit, apples, chocolate, finish. Interesting, smoky chocolate crafty. Scored that at 3.15, but the group loved this one and scored a 3.63, and that came in 4th place overall. Let's get into the next one. Okay, so now in this lineup, again, we get, so something I didn't say, you guys probably don't know. So how I do it, the order is in proof order. So usually I don't try to pair things up or anything, but I would say the Elijah Craig's kind of went back to back. And sometimes if I want to put stuff back to back and they're around the same proof and something in the middle, I'll move around, but usually I just do it in proof order. So the last round is usually the proofiest. So going into this round, we have the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C925 batch, which I just reviewed on the channel. On this day, I got red fruit, oak, spices on the nose, dark fruit, vanilla, delicious, spice on the palate, marshmallow, chocolate, spice on the finish. I scored this a 3.5. So I remember when I reviewed it the other day, thinking that the C batch was going to do pretty good because I remember liking that Whisky Cigar Club. But when I did the blind versus the A and B batch, it came in 2nd place, I believe. That's why I review everything multiple times to get an average of scores. But overall, for the group, this scored a 3.18, so significantly lower than my score, and came in 8th place. Now we have this Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Rye. So I know Elijah Craig is now starting to put out the Barrel Proof Rye. I haven't got the actual batch one, but this one was the one I did at the Bottle Your Own Experience at Heaven Hill. And this is batch Y725, 132 proof. You get to put your name and everything on it. And this one, I think, was one of my favorites of the day. I'm looking at the scores, and this came in 2nd. For me personally, a tie with KC21. So not 2nd, 1st, tied for 1st. And this is rye, sweet, nutty. On the palate, rye, vanilla, oak, red fruit, sweet. On the finish, yummy. Vanilla, oak, red fruit. Scored 3.85. The group scored a 3.79 for 2nd place. So a rye, which usually doesn't do well in my Whisky Cigar Clubs, came in 2nd and 1st place, because the 1st place was that Blue Note Rye Honey. Okay, then we have this Old Carter Batch 15 American Whiskey. This is 134 proof, expensive bottle, kind of rare. People chase this kind of bottle. I don't know. It's it's something. I did like it. Woody red fruit. I'm guessing popcorn. On the palate, woody, red fruit, sweet popcorn again. And it looks like I wrote the same thing for finish. Woody, red fruit, sweet, and popcorn. So I did enjoy it though, because I scored a 3.65. The groups liked it a little bit better with a 3.76 and an overall placing of 3rd. And then we have this New Era 142 proof. Again, another bottle I picked up at Bourbon on the Banks. This is one of those bottles that, people were talking about going into it. This is sweet oak, nutty on the palate, marshmallow, proof, oak, red fruit, finish, oak, some black marker. So I scored a 3.5. The group scored a 3.25, so a little bit less, and it came in 6th place overall. So this was the first Whisky Cigar Club. So let's get into the second one. All right, so this is a second tasting, and this is a different group of guys than the first group. So how I do it is I have a poll that I set up every single month. I send out all my available times. Usually it's either, you know, Saturday or Sunday starting at 1, kind of finishing whenever, or Monday through Friday starting like at 5:30 when everyone gets out of work. And I put my availability out there. And how it usually runs is we do our 12-way blinds. We get some food. Usually we go to Zapardi's Pizza, best pizza on earth. Go ahead and argue with me in the comments. Look it up, Zapardi's Pizza, West Haven, Connecticut. And then we go outside, or I have a little cigar lounge that's behind this wall right here. That's kind of like a enclosed porch. And we smoke cigars, watch some TV. If we're outside, you know, by the fire pit. So that's kind of usually how the day goes overall. Okay, so the second tasting, we had 2 pairings right off the get-go. Again, they don't know what they're drinking. This is kind of something I wanted to do, kind of fun, you know. 2 Still Austins, a bourbon and rye. These are also bourbon and rye, both Starlight, both finished in 2 different things. Kind of see if people could figure out if it's a bourbon or rye and stuff like that. The first one was the Still Austin Bourbon 7-year. You know, I just picked that up recently. And I got red fruit, oak, strawberry, sweet, very nice on the finish. Vanilla, sweet, a note I don't like. Strawberry, and on the finish, quick, doughy. Scored 3.15, but the group did enjoy that better than I did with a 3.43, came in 6th place. The Still Austin 4-year rye, sweet rye, vegetal, chalky, rye, minty, nice red fruit on the palate, minty, sweetness on the finish. I scored this at 3.9, which is a pretty high score, especially for those notes. I wonder if I scored that incorrectly. But the group put this in last place with an overall score of 3.09. Now that's actually a pretty good score. It's over a 3 and it's in last place. So that means all of them were decent bottles. Okay, so then we go to the 2 Starlights. So the Starlight Bourbon that's finished in maple, and both of these Starlights were picks that I was on when I went down to the Kentucky with a local store. Now, obviously this is in Indiana, but right over the border. And that, doing a pick at Starlight is a lot of fun, let me tell you. And so this bourbon maple syrup finish, I got sweet cracker, rye, brown sugar, savory, dark. On the palate, thick, yummy, oversweet maple syrup. On the finish, sweet maple syrup. Scored a 3.5. The group scored a 3.17 and came in 11th place. So 11th place with 3.17 is actually a pretty good score. The next one was another Starlight, which is a rye finished in honey barrels. On the nose, it was light for me. On the palate, very viscous, thick, honey. I got some rye, some toast. On the finish, lovely and savory. I scored at 3.75, and that came in 2nd place overall with the group with a 3.7, which is so funny. And I have to do this matchup, is that this rye honey did really well, and so did the Blue Note rye honey that was in the last one. So definitely got to put those back to back against each other. Okay, let's go into the next one. Okay, so this is the next lineup, and 3 of these and one in the next lineup were in my cigar blends video, so I won't go into them too far. But the first one in this lineup was a Cedar Ridge Anniversary Edition, which to me, they could have put cigar blend on this thing too, because straight burn whiskey finished in Tokaji, Ruby Port, Amontillado, Sherry Cask, and New American Oak Barrel. So tons of finishes, so you know, why not put a cigar blend on this thing? This was crafty chocolate grilled tomato note. There it is. Dark fruit, maple syrup on the nose, dark fruit, crafty on the palate, oak smokiness, bacony maple syrup. That sounds very breakfast-like. On the finish, I scored a 3.5. The group scored a 3.58, and that came in 5th place. Then we have this Brothers of the Leaf, which is bourbon finished in toasted French oak cask. Again, reviewed it already. I scored this a 4, which is a pretty good score. But this day I got chocolate and strawberry milkshake. On the palate, strawberry ice cream oak, so good. On the finish, vanilla strawberry ice cream nutty. The group didn't like it as much as I did. They scored a 3.39, came in 7th place. This Art of the Spirits Chief's Cigar Blend. This is the Chief Crazy Horse version. And red fruit, oak, vanilla. On the palate, dark fruit, oak, red fruit, crafty. On the finish, nutty and herbal. I scored that a 3. The group scored a 3.33, and it came in 8th place. And we have this Copper and Cask small batch series. This is batch 13. The cigar blend finished Armagnac, Port, Cognac, and Sherry cask, which I didn't say the finishing on this. Chief Cigar Blend was a blend of straight burn whiskeys finished in 23-year-old Remy XO cask, so Cognac. Okay, so back to the Copper and Cask. Here we are, and that was red fruit, strawberry, nutty on the palate, vanilla, rich oak, red fruit, dark fruit, and vanilla oak cinnamon on the finish. A score of 3.75. The group score of 3.83 to put it in first place. So the Copper and Cask came in first place for the group. So if you want to see a review of these 3 plus another one coming up, definitely go check that video. All these videos will be in the description. Okay, so now we go into the final round, and we have Cream of Kentucky cask strength for 2025. I got nuttiness, bready, milk chocolate, red fruit, strawberry, nutty, peanut, oak, sweet on the palate and on the finish. Very good. Brown sugar. I scored this a 3.85, which is one of my higher scores. The group did not like it as much. Scored a 3.27, making it 10th place. Then we have the Sealbox Humidor blend, and this is the other bottle that's with the other 3 in that video. And this is finished in notes of Amberana, Cognac, and Spanish oak. Batch 1, and red fruit oak on the nose, red Jolly Rancher, sweet candy oak on the palate, cinnamon, vanilla on the finish. Scores a 3.5. The group scored a 3.3, making it in 9th place. So then we go into Nashville Barrel Company. This is Stella's Secret Stash. I picked this up when we went down to Nashville the day before Bourbon on the Banks. So we got it straight from the distillery in Nashville, the tasting room, I guess, down in downtown. And vanilla, smokiness, grilled tomato note. Interesting. I got that again. Strawberry, oak, nutty on the palate, and cinnamon on the finish. I scored this a 3.7, and the group scored a 3.7. So we nailed it together. Usually doesn't happen that way, as you guys saw. And that came in 2nd place overall. And then we have the Booker's, the newest one as I'm recording this, the 2503 batch, which is the Jerry's batch. And there you go. So that's red fruit, vanilla on the nose, on the palate, nutty, vanilla, oak, red fruit, and finish peanut. Score 3.25. The group liked a little bit more with 3.6, and that came in 4th place. All right. So that was all the bottles. I'll quickly go over the cigars I smoked. So I smoked 2 cigars at both events. And so the first one was the Tataha'i Halloween Robusto. Now I picked this because it was close to Halloween. I was like, I have a Halloween cigar. Let me smoke it. I didn't expect too much out of it. I thought it was going to be gimmicky. It was actually pretty good. So it's a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, Nicaraguan binder and filler, medium strength, great cigar. You know, again, way better than I thought it was going to be. So then I smoked a Roma Craft Cronagnan, Aquitian, Anthropology. I don't understand why they make these things so complicated. It's a $12 cigar. The Halloween was $13. The Roma Craft was Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Cameroon binder, and Nicaraguan filler. Full strength, full body, good flavor. Enjoyed that one as well. So that was from my second Whiskey Cigar Club. My first one, I had the Padron Family Reserve number 45 Maduro, expensive stick at $31. It was a Christmas gift from my wife. She gave me a whole Padron like sampler pack, and so awesome. It's a Nicaraguan Puro, meaning the binder, the filler, and the wrapper are all from Nicaragua. Uses 10-year-old tobacco. It won 2009 Cigar of the Year, so you know, one of those fancy cigars, but full strength, very good, full bodied. You know, I'm a big fan of Padron, so they could do no wrong. Then I smoked a, okay cigar, Don Collins, a Puerto Rican Puro. I got it in Puerto Rico earlier this year. It's the Longsdale version. So the Longsdale, they either finish it by vanilla or in rum barrels. So that's $16. That's a pretty good cigar. Harder to find in America, but if you go to Puerto Rico, pretty good cigar if you find it down there. So that's the bottles and cigars. And so again, I'll reiterate, pick a 4-bottle blend that you want me to do on the channel. Put in the comments, vote on each other's, and whatever is like the best one, I'll do a video on it. And let me know how you like this format versus me just doing the top 4. So don't do nothing stupid, and if you do, don't get caught. Bye.